Hi viewers, welcome to this channel. So in this course of HTML and CSS, today is the lesson 8, and in this lesson we'll be learning about HTML form and form elements. Let's get started. So first topic is form. Actually in HTML we use forms to collect data from user, and after that data which is collected from the users is then processed in the backend files. So this form element is completely this tag, form tag, which wraps around all the form elements that a form contains. This form contains some important attributes that are important to provide in HTML markup, so that after that when the user would give us the information, we may process it. So the first attribute that we need to give is the action attribute. Actually, this action attribute contains the location to which we want the data collected from the user to go, and after that, at that location where we send the data, this data is processed. For example, if we get data from user for login, such as first name, last name, password, etc., and then send it to our backend file named as authentication.php. So this action attribute would contain the location or the path to that .php file. So our next attribute is target attribute. This target attribute specifies the window at which the response from that action location came back. We can show the response on the same window or in the next window by opening a new tab. And the next important attribute is method. Now this method has two types, post and get. By the get method, if we provide get as method in form attribute, so the data that is collected from the user would be provided inside the URL. Whereas if we provide the post as method, then the data would be in post log form and it would not be provided in the URL form. So forward, when we will be creating project about login and sign up page, you would get a better understanding about how this post and get data is sent to our action location. Let us jump into our IDE and see how does this form look inside the markup. So here we are with our previous progress. These are all the files which we created in our previous lessons. So today we are going to create another file named as lesson 8 HTML form and form elements and give it an extension of .html. Now I am going to create my basic boiler markup, and in this markup I am going to give it the text of forms and form elements. So inside body, I'm going to create a form tag. This is our form tag. All of the form elements will come inside it, about which we will just talk in a minute. So for the attributes that we give for form, action, and method, and the target. This target one is not important. You can just skip it, but both of these attributes are the important one. So inside action, let us give a path to ./authenticate.php. If this is a relative path, as you may know if you have seen our previous videos. So if there is a file named as authenticate.php inside this folder, in the same folder in which our HTML file is residing, then this data will be sent to that file. So this method specifies in which form the data would be sent to that file. If I may write here get, then the data will be sent in the form of URL or encoded inside the URL. Whereas if I may write here post, then the data would not be in the URL, whereas in the other form in the post encoding. In this target, if I may leave it like this, then it will show the result or the response in the same tab. Whereas if I want to open a new tab and show the response in that tab, then I may write here underscore target. Whereas this target attribute is not pretty important, but both of these attributes are important. After this, in form, the next topic we have is form elements. There are various form elements in HTML which we can use in form. For today's video, we are going to just know a bit of them, not all of them. These are various, like you can read here: input, label, select, text area, button, field set, legends. We are going to talk about some of them. This input is the most used form element in HTML forms. It just changes its functionality depending on the type attribute specified in it. And so this input is a complete topic in itself. So we are going to create a dedicated video for this input topic, whereas in this video we are going to talk about some other form elements. So this is label element. This label element is used to specify the label for another element, whereas this label element contains an attribute for which contains the ID of another form element which contains the same ID specified in this form attribute. Let us see in our editor. Right here, if you can see, let me put an input field, and input typed as input element type name type text. We will just talk about inputs in the forward videos but for now I'm just showing you this for label, and let me give this input an ID, test input, and in this for I need to specify the ID for the input for which I am creating this label. This is label, and if we may go to our browser, you can see this is our input. If I click here, it just gets clicked. This type text just gives us a single line text input. So I can write here. Otherwise, if I may click on this label, it will as well click on this. It will click on this input as well because this is label for this input. If I may write this input before it and write inside it name, it could be used this way right here. If I may click on this or this, because this label is for this input, it will work as same. So our next element is select element. So this select element specifies the drop down list in HTML markup, as you may have seen in different HTML pages as well. So this select attribute is the main wrapper of the options, whereas this option attribute contain individual item inside the options. So let us create one. Right here I will write select, and we will talk about these things later in our next videos. For now, and in select, the next thing is option. This option, right inside this value, we will be giving the value of this option whenever the user has selected this option. The form data which will be selected to our action file will contain this value as the selected value. So value 1 and option value 2. Let us see how does it look in our browser. Right here, as you can see, this is a select element. If I may select one, then it gets selected. Now, the last element in this video is the button. Now, this button element specifies a clickable button. Now, let us put our button form element here. Button type button. And as a text to be shown, this is button. And inside our browser, it looks like this. So we can provide some sort of function whenever this button is clicked inside our JavaScript, or this is the forward sort of thing that we will be learning in our forward lectures. So for now, in this video, this is it. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much. Goodbye.